Hello and welcome to Cloaker's Education Foundation, providing quality content for amazing teachers and students. If you're joining us from a previous lesson or previous series, welcome back. And if this is your first time, we're glad you're here. This is our World History series, and this lesson is on the American Revolution. Before we begin, don't forget to check out the link in the description below for a set of free guided notes to go along with this lesson. Let's dive in. Let's first dive into the causes of the American Revolution. Now, there are several causes that build up to this event. The ideas of the Glorious Revolution or the English Revolution, such as limited monarchy and having a written Bill of Rights or the English Bill of Rights, was important to the Englishmen. Ideas from the Enlightenment, such as all men having rights, and governments are responsible for protecting these rights and the individuals, that people have the right to remove the government that fails to give them these rights and protect them. Of course, the taxes imposed by the English on the colonists to pay for the 7 Years' War or the French and Indian War. This is going to be one of the driving factors for the American Revolution, because it was the belief that as Englishmen, their rights were violated. They were being taxed without having any representation in Parliament back in the mother country. Those taxes being the major cause, the British policies relating to the colonies, specifically on the imposition of taxes. The Stamp Act, the Sugar Act, the Tea Act, the Townshend Act, all of these relating to taxes on the colonists, where the British monarchy is trying to reimpose control over the colonies after years of benign neglect. And so after time and time again with the colonists trying to draft a solution to the king, they're going to write the Declaration of Independence and send this to King George, expressing their ideas about liberty, equality, and democracy for themselves. The American Revolution is going to be largely pushed by the merchant class, as they were the ones suffering and protesting the majority of the taxation from the British without their representation. Unlike what pop culture generally likes to say, the American people were not unified with the movements of liberty. About a third of the colonists remained loyal to England, about a third pushing for the ideas of independence, and a third did not care either way who was going to be in charge. Now, we have scenes in movies like The Patriot, starring Mel Gibson, where he very famously says that an elected government can trample a man's rights as easily as a king can. Why would you trade one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away? The colonists were generally divided during this war. Americans struggled for a long time to fight the British Army, and ultimately achieving victories at battles like Saratoga, they proved to the French and to the Spanish that they could compete and possibly even win the war against the British. The British were overconfident in the conflict, but the biggest factor is it was a war of attrition. The British had to physically occupy the New World, the colonies, to put down the revolts. The colonists simply had to make the war the most expensive way possible for the English, and eventually the English would give up. And ultimately, that was the American strategy. Americans achieving final victories at the Battle of Yorktown over Cornwallis, the U.S. quickly becomes an independent nation, going from a colonial power to a republic. Now, at first, they had a government drafted under a confederation known as the Articles of Confederation. We have whole lessons about it in government and our U.S. history series. You can go check those out. But in 1789, we draft the U.S. Constitution with ideas such as separation of powers with the three branches and popular sovereignty of the people. This was not a unified decision. There were many that were divided. A Federalist Party pushing for the Constitution and the Anti-Federalists saying, no, you are giving them too much power. We need to protect the individual. And so an agreement was made to pass a Bill of Rights, very similar to the English Bill of Rights. 10 amendments added to protect the individuals from an oppressive government, and all of these were in response to the tyrannies that the English monarchy enforced. With the success of the Americans in the New World, defeating the mighty British Army, this is going to inspire future revolutions. It's going to inspire the French, who see them applying ideas of the Enlightenment in order to bring about new political order. It's going to inspire a slave revolt in Haiti to overthrow the French and bring about new ideas of freedom to the people. Now, there are fundamental ideas to the American government that were pushed since the beginning of the revolution. The ideas of separation of powers, the belief that all power should not rest in the hands of a few but should be delegated and spread out, that these powers should be designed to prevent one branch from becoming too powerful, thus the checks and balances, that the executive is not the end-all be-all, but the judicial and the legislative can check the power of each other. Freedom, liberty, the ability to make choices, to not be oppressed by the government or any social class or economic class, and equality, the belief that all men and individuals are equal in regards to their political rights. Now, historians are, of course, going to argue this, saying that there weren't protections for slavery, there were not protections for African Americans, there were not protection for women, and they're absolutely right. Equality has been ever expanding. At the start of the revolution, there was a big push that Catholics should not have political rights. And George Washington was like, well, they make up a large part of my army. And so he would very occasionally, very often, go and participate in Mass and the sacraments with his Catholic soldiers to bring about acceptance for them. And then it was African Americans with the Civil War. Then we expanded equality to women in the 1920s. And we continue to expand it. And we continue to expand it. Equality expands, and you as the individual have protected rights from the government, but you as an individual also have some responsibility and some roles within the government, such as voting, registering others to vote and assisting them, paying taxes, to help recruitment in the military, and even serve in the military if called upon through selective service, or the draft, as it's commonly called. As equality spreads, you as an individual and a national of the United States or any other nation have duties and obligation to your country, whether it's to vote, pay taxes, whether your nation has a mandatory selective service like many do, Switzerland, South Korea, Turkey, etc. In the grand scope of things, the American Revolution is very small when it comes to world history. It's a few short years. And at the time, it does not impact everyone around the globe. However, it sets forth a series of events. It's the first domino to topple over for the republic that's known as the United States. Because of the Declaration of Independence, we set forth goals, right? to protect inalienable rights, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. The governments are to protect these rights. The government is supposed to protect the rights of the people. We see this in revolutions all around the world. Because if the government does not protect those rights, it is the right of the people to alter, to change, or to abolish that government, which is not protecting their rights. We see this all around the world. The French Revolution, the Haitian, the Russians revolting because the government was not protecting the citizens. We see this in modern revolutions around the globe now. It's the role model for why. That wraps up our lesson, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check us out on Teachers Pay Teachers, YouTube, Rumble, and the Cloaker Education Foundation website. We have a ton of resources for you there. To check out what's new and what's next in the series, click here. For something you might like, click down below. And to subscribe to our channel, click the right. Liking and subscribe really does help our channel grow and reach a greater and wider audience. All of this and more is just a click away. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.